Show from Cobb County. Thank you. Now for this next segment, we're going to talk Constitution, and I've got three guests that Dr. Bill Hudson lined up for me, and I'm very impressed with all three of these gentlemen because they're going to give you a perspective on the Constitution from three different perspectives. My first guest is retired Lieutenant Colonel John Eidsmoe. Come on up, John. Very good. My second guest is Mr. Brett Britton. Did I get that right? That's right. It's Brett Bittner. All right. At least how they call you racist. And my third guest is Stuart Barton. Come on up, Stuart. All right. Now, I'm going to ask John the first question, but let me tell you something about John. John is retired. He's also an ordained pastor. He has written 12 books, one of which is called Christianity and the Constitution. And he's also a second degree black belt taekwondo person, so he can hurt you. Third degree, he can hurt you even worse. He's a third degree. And the question that I want to throw to John is, many people don't understand the concept of how the Bible and Christian principles inspired the Declaration and the Constitution. Would you comment on that question?
In a nutshell, two things: a high view of God and his law, and a low view of man and his nature. They recognize that the government is not the final authority, that there is a higher law than man's law, the law of God, as Jefferson referred to in the Declaration, the laws of nature and nature's God. And they were students of Blackstone, and as Blackstone said, that human law depends upon the law of revelation and the law of nature, and no human law is of any validity if contrary to these. Recognizing that, they understood that we have rights, and rights don't come from the government. If they came from the government, they wouldn't be unalienable rights, they'd be negotiable privileges. That which the government can take away. And so they understood that God has conveyed rights to us that government must respect. And a low view of man and his nature. They knew, first of all, that man is not perfect. He is, as the Bible describes him, sinful, ambitious, corruptible, and therefore, if we can't be trusted in a state of anarchy, we need government to protect us. But also, those who run the government have the same nature as everybody else. Some of you have begun to suspect that already, I suppose. And for that reason, they knew that we need to put restraints on government. They did that in the form of the 10th Amendment, limiting the powers of government, and that all powers not delegated are reserved to the states and the people. Those powers they did delegate to the federal government, they separated into legislative, executive, and judicial branches. They put checks and balances so each would restrain the power of the other, and then they protected individual rights. What they created was a constitutional republic in which the majority generally runs things, but in which the minority has certain rights that even a majority cannot take away.
Yes.
And that view comes out of their biblical heritage.
Did you learn something like I did? Love it. Great job. Now, Brett is a member of the Libertarian Party, and the question that I have posed to him is, some people don't know the difference between the Libertarian ideology, the conservative ideology, and the liberal ideology. I think most of you all know the difference between the latter two, but what I've asked Brett to come in on is, how do the three differ, or how does the Libertarian ideology differ from the conservative or the liberal?
Well, the most important thing for a libertarian is, does the issue that we're talking about promote individual freedom, individual liberty? When you speak with a libertarian, you're going to be talking to somebody who is focused on exactly what it is that is this something that's going to make me more free? Is this something that's going to make me less free? And in terms of comparing and contrasting, I like to say that conservatives are libertarian when it comes to economics. Liberals are libertarian when it comes to social issues. And that's one of the key differences, and that's one of the things that I think that a lot of people kind of don't really grasp.
Right.
They see us as moderates, and unfortunately, a lot of the moderate politicians and a lot of the moderate speakers are ones that aren't necessarily embracing freedom.
How do most libertarians stand on the fiscal issues? You said that libertarians primarily are conservative when it comes to social issues. How do most of them stand, or they don't take a position on fiscal issues?
Well, no. The libertarians are very much fiscally conservative.
Okay.
Fiscal responsibility is probably one of the most important things. However, we believe that the civil liberties of each individual, their freedom, their liberty, is the most important and paramount, and should not have the economic issues overtake them.
Very good. Thank you. Show them in, love. And now we have Mr. Stuart Barton, who is head of the American Seniors Association. Did I get that right?
Yes, sir.
He is the co-founder of that, and his background is primarily business. And my question to Stuart is, how has our drifting away from the Constitution impacted business in America from his perspective?
Well, I and the American Seniors Association believe that under Article 1, Section 8, which I'm going to read because I don't have my Obama teleprompter in front of me, states that the Congress shall have the power to lay and collect taxes, duties, imposts, and excises, to pay debts and provide for the common defense and general welfare of the United States, that all duties, excises, and imposts are to be uniform throughout the United States. First thing is that the taxes, collecting taxes, yes, that's something that the government has to do. We don't believe at the American Seniors Association that it was meant to be what it's become today. That's why at the American Seniors Association we firmly support the fair tax. Our current tax system is absolutely impunitive and stymieing to individuals that want to start a business, run a business. And you know what? Unfortunately, among me, the people in our administration, you can't ask them what it's like to run a business because they've never run one. They never had to meet a payroll. They don't know what it's like to pay for your employees before you pay yourself. So we think that the tax system is one big piece of it. General welfare has become the most gross entitlement programs that we have in our country today. Welfare, we pay people to stay at home rather than giving them incentive to get out in the workforce and start a business, get a job, and be a tax-paying citizen of this United States of America. Last thing I'd like to say is that I want everyone here to please go to americanseniors.org and take our survey on the report card that we just posted on our President's first 18 months in office. I think you'll find that our conservative values and the fact that the American Seniors Association is about the health and wealth of seniors will ring true in your hearts and minds. Thank you.
Thank you, Stuart. Give him a hand. Thank you. Now, when we come back after the break, I'm going to ask each of them a question that they didn't know. And secondly, at the top of the hour, we're going to start Rapid Fire Friday. You listen